You know, shoes are more than just something you put on your feet. They're a statement, a reflection of who you are, how you move, and sometimes even how you think. And yet, there's always this huge gap between a pair of shoes you grab off a sale rack for a few bucks and a pair that costs tens of thousands. I mean, think about it. You can get a simple pair of sneakers that serve the basic purpose. They cover your feet, give you comfort, and last maybe a season or two. Or you could have a handcrafted pair made from the finest materials, designed with precision, and somehow, just owning them feels like holding a piece of art. But is the difference worth it? Let's take a walk down this path. And I promise it's more than just numbers, it's a journey. Take a cheap pair. You'll notice them immediately in the material the moment you touch the fabric. It's thin, synthetic, and while it may look okay, it doesn't quite breathe. The stitching isn't perfect. Maybe a little uneven, and the soles though. The soles are flexible, but not in a good way. They bend too easily or down faster, and every step reminds you that it wasn't made to last long. But there's something honest about them. You're not paying for a story. You're paying for function, and for some people, that's all they need. Now, step into a pair priced around $20,000. Right off the bat, there's a certain weight to them. Not heavy, but meaningful. The leather or whatever rare material is used feels like it has its own history. Smooth, supple, yet firm. The craftsmanship is meticulous. You can almost trace the care put into every stitch. You slip them on, and suddenly, your posture changes. There's comfort. Yes, but also a confidence that comes from knowing these aren't just shoes. They're a statement. Every curve, every contour is intentional. It's funny how something so small can change perception. People don't just look at expensive shoes, they read them. They see attention to detail, status, style. They see patience and passion. Compare that to the cheap pair, and the difference isn't just material, it's narrative. One tells a story of careful creation, legacy, and luxury. The other tells a story of practicality, accessibility, and immediacy. Both have their place, but the vibe they give off, completely different. Then there's the question of experience. Putting on a cheap pair, you might think about the day ahead. The errands you need to run, the office you'll walk into. The casual outings, it's utilitarian. But wearing the expensive pair, it's almost ritualistic. You admire them, maybe even polish them before wearing. And as you walk, each step feels considered. You notice the subtle cushioning, the way the shoe molds perfectly to your foot, almost like it was designed for you alone. People often debate whether the extra price is justified. And honestly, it depends on perspective. For some, spending that much on shoes feels frivolous, absurd even. For others, it's an investment in artistry, durability, and self-expression. It's like comparing a regular watch to a handcrafted luxury timepiece. Both tell the time, but one tells a story. And the other, well, it tells the story. Then there's the social aspect. Expensive shoes can be conversation starters. They can signal taste, discernment, sometimes even ambition. Cheap shoes? They do their job quietly, blending into the background, often unnoticed. That's not bad, it's just different. One whispers, one shouts, and sometimes life is about knowing when to whisper and when to shout. Let's also talk durability. Cheap shoes might last a year or two if you're lucky. They scuff easily, the soles wear down. The color fades. Expensive shoes, on the other hand, are built to endure. Many come with warranties, repair services, or the ability to be resold multiple times. In the long run, they might even become more practical than their cheaper counterparts. Not to mention they retain that newness much longer. But here's the thing, comfort isn't always guaranteed with expensive shoes either. It's about fit, design, and how your foot interacts with the shoe. Some high-end shoes might look perfect, but you'll need to break them in. Cheap shoes might feel soft immediately, but offer no long-term support. That's why understanding your needs is crucial. Are you buying for style, comfort, longevity, or status? Often, the answer is all of the above. But that's where the debate gets interesting. And then, of course, there's the emotional impact. Owning an expensive pair of shoes feels different. There's pride, joy, even a sense of accomplishment. It's something tangible, a reward you can see, touch, and wear. Cheap shoes rarely evoke that emotion. They're practical, yes, and sometimes necessary. But they don't make your heart skip a beat. So when you compare the two side by side, you see more than material differences. You see philosophy, intention, and lifestyle. Cheap shoes serve the everyday, the functional, the necessary. Expensive shoes celebrate artistry, luxury, and identity. Both exist. Both have value, but the experience they offer, worlds apart. Walking through a city in cheap shoes, you blend in. You're part of the flow, unnoticed, steady. Walking in expensive shoes, you carry presence. People notice. Sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly. Not because you're trying, but because craftsmanship carries a language of its own. That language speaks of quality, care, and patience. It tells the world you value the finer things, not just in shoes, but in life. And ultimately, it's about choice. Some people prioritize utility, affordability, and accessibility. Others prioritize luxury, exclusivity, and artistry. There's no right or wrong, just different ways to interact with the same basic object. A shoe is still a shoe, after all. But how you experience it, how it makes you feel, that's where the magic or the mundane lies. So maybe it's not about cheap versus expensive at all. Maybe it's about what resonates with you personally. What story do you want to tell with what you wear? What comfort do you seek? And how much meaning do you place on craftsmanship, detail, and legacy? Shoes aren't just objects, they're extensions of our choices, reflections of our values, and sometimes mirrors of our personality. At the end of the day, the cheap pair will do its job. It will carry you from point A to B without complaint. The expensive pair will do the same but with a story, a presence, and a feeling that lingers. And when you understand that difference, maybe the price tag doesn't seem so outrageous after all. Maybe it's not just about money, it's about an experience, a perspective, and a way of moving through the world that's a little more deliberate, a little more intentional, and a lot more memorable.